WWER show. Been a long time since we did this. As we have breaking news for this Thursday evening of November 5th, 2015. If you are a WWE fan in particular, if you are a fan of WWE champion Seth Rollins, I think I have your attention now. This is very bad, as it looks like Seth Rollins suffered a knee injury, and as a result, he will be out of action for at least 4 to 6 months. Now, the flip side to this, some of you may take this as good news or bad news. It just really depends. Looks like a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion will be crowned at this year's Survivor Series event, which is going to be coming up in less than 3 weeks. Now, for those of you that might have missed the news, that's why we're here on YouTube right now doing this for you guys. That's why we're also doing this, so that we'll have the audio of this be available on demand via your respected downloading platforms. All the links you need will be in this episode description below. But this comes straight from WWE themselves that confirmed this. Now, we heard a little bit of rumblings within the past 48 hours leading up to the announcement by WWE today that apparently Seth Rollins had suffered some type of an injury overseas, but that was just a little bit of speculation. It was just something that was starting on the rumorville, but WWE, they had took to their own website, I would say about maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours ago. So maybe a little bit after, I would say 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, because I was actually checking my phone during that time frame, interacting with a couple of people, and I had got the notification from WWE straight from their website. WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins has torn his right ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus, and will not be able to defend the title against Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. A tournament to determine a new champion will instead take place at the event. As first reported on Twitter by ESPN, Rollins suffered the injury last night. So I actually need to make a big correction right there. Looks like he suffered it last night at a WWE live event in Dublin, Ireland, and is expected to miss 6 to 9 months of action. Kind of weird because, and at the time that I'm looking at this, they are noting this as of today, but I thought I heard rumblings that something happened over the weekend. Seemed like maybe he tore something, but that I'm pretty sure I heard it right. Everybody was a little bit concerned, but word was that maybe Seth was just a little bit banged up. He wrapped it up, kept going. So if that is true, then I guess the injury had got worse. I guess that's the safe bet you can go with. But look, I don't want to just come on here and just mention the news and then just roll out. I want to go in depth about this. So just indulge me. I want to try to look at this from all standpoints. Now, look, if you've been watching the WWE product for the past several months, one of the things you can definitely admit when it comes to injuries this time of season hasn't really been too kind for the WWE. As it stands right now, we have Lana, she's out. Randy Orton recently suffered a shoulder injury. He has a torn rotator cuff. He's going to be out of action for several months. Add Rusev to that list. Rusev has suffered an injury, so he's going to be out of action for a few months. Now you have, of all people, you have the WWE champion Seth Rollins at the very top of that list. This season has not been very kind to the WWE stars. Now, granted, ever since Seth Rollins has become the WWE champion dating back to this year's WrestleMania, up to this point, he's had the title now for about 7 months. I think we can all be in agreement that, and I really hate to say this because there is a part of me that is a fan of Seth Rollins, and that's mainly because I know what he truly is capable of without any restrictions. I was able to see a lot of his work on the independents before he came to the WWE. So that's where my opinion is as far as what I know, what he's really capable of. But I got to be brutally honest. I think many of you will agree with me. The experiment of Seth Rollins as a WWE champion has been a failure. to say the least. I know many people that have been turned off by the current WWE product, in particular because of whether it's poor creative writing, booking, or just downright who the champion is. A lot of people that I spoke to have all said the same thing when the name Seth Rollins has come up, which is, man, he's been the weakest WWE champion, like maybe in history. Now, that might be debatable for some people, but definitely within the past 15, 20 years for the WWE, he's probably been the worst champion to date. Now, in defense of Seth Rollins, that is not all on his shoulders and his shoulders alone. A large part of that has to do with the people that are in charge of creative. It definitely has to do with the people that are in charge of booking, for everybody, all these great collective minds to not come together and really try to make there be a true priority in getting Seth Rollins over with the WWE fans, with the wrestling fan base, and put him in the best position possible where he comes off as a strong heel champion. It just has not been obtainable. There were a few times in previous months where it looked as though Seth Rollins was getting to that point. One that jumps out in particular is when he was feuding with Dean Ambrose, and he basically was like, "I don't need the authority. I don't need J&J security. I don't need corporate Kane. I can do this myself." It seemed as if Seth had turned a new leap of faith, if you will, like he was going in a new direction. But like every time you turn around, we just keep getting this inconsistency. Just makes you think, if storyline wise, if Seth Rollins is bipolar or what. It's just very inconsistent. But a lot of people that I've spoken to, whether it be close friends, colleagues, co-workers, fellow collaborators, I mean, you name it, people on Twitter or Facebook, everybody has pretty much said the same thing about Seth Rollins, which is his run as a champion. It's just been very bad. It's been horrendous. And then you combine that with the fact of what's been going on with the Raw flagship show. Ratings just continue to go on a decline, to the point that this past Monday's WWE Raw, you thought it couldn't top the lower numbers that came slash ratings in the previous weeks. This past Monday's WWE Raw sank to even new lower heights, as the ratings for that show has been the absolute worst since Raw has gone 3 hours. We heard this before a couple of weeks ago, but the numbers just keep getting lower and lower and lower. And at the end of the day, some people may feel it's a little bit unfair that everything relies on the shoulders of a Seth Rollins. I can definitely agree with that to a certain extent. But when you break down those quarterly segments, that is a telling tale in itself, as far as, okay, where were the fans the most strongest? What segments did they care about the most? What were the least segments that they cared to really not check out? And unfortunately, Seth Rollins is definitely part of that. As sad as it is that this injury has come about, it's actually a blessing for Rollins in disguise, I honestly feel, because when it's all said and done, the WWE is in a weird transition right now. You've got no Daniel Bryan, you've got no John Cena. You don't have your Brock Lesnar right now, although after the events that came about today, that could change. It could very well change. I would think that at this point, it's very well possible that Cena may be coming back a lot sooner rather than later. There was a timetable being put out there that maybe he was going to be coming back in December, but with the news that came about right now, there's just no telling how WWE may handle this. They may be in like serious panic mode right now, and they may be trying to do any and everything possible to get in there some serious major star power. There's only but so much the New Day can do. There's only but so much. Uh, I'm trying to think who else is like pretty active on the roster right now. You got Dolph Ziggler doing his thing with Tyler Breeze, but unfortunately, that's really at a disadvantage right now. Not everybody checks out the NXT brand. And if you need proof of that, just go back and look at when Tyler Breeze made his SmackDown debut. It was like so dead silent. it was quite sad. And you see what came about with him on Raw, same reaction again. It's not really there. And I mean, that's no fault to him. It's just there's not that many people that are checking out the NXT brand, unfortunately. But I mean, other than New Day, you really don't have that much like sizzle that's going on right now, unfortunately. So I would not be surprised if in the coming weeks WWE tried to reach out to Brock Lesnar. They tried to reach out to John Cena. They tried to maybe reach out to Daniel Bryan. Do they finally pull the trigger on Daniel Bryan? Daniel Bryan has been trying to get cleared for a good portion of this year. Do they finally give Daniel Bryan the opportunity to step right back in there? Do they maybe see if Undertaker can lend a hand and do a couple of Raw shows? I think any and everything that I just mentioned is possible right now. The flagship shows, it needs all the star power it can get because it's a domino effect when it comes to those pay-per-views. So expect some interesting things to happen. Don't be too surprised if Jericho comes back. I see a lot of nostalgia coming back, but at the end of the day, with this news that has come about, this definitely creates a new opportunity for guys on the roster to really step up. Ryback comes to mind. There was a recent interview that he gave where he basically had said he had a conversation with Vince McMahon talking about how he's not going to be the next John Cena, but he is going to be the next biggest guy aside from John Cena. Just give him some time to prove his point. So he's trying to reach for the brass ring. I am definitely looking at guys like a Dolph Ziggler. I'm definitely looking at guys like a Cesaro. Kevin Owens, you could definitely throw him into the mix. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns. I'm looking at all those guys to step up in the coming weeks, and they're going to need to step their game up in a big, big way. Yeah, it just kind of reminds me of yesteryear when that serious accident had went down with Steve Austin. He messed up his neck and he decided that he was going to get surgery eventually, and he was out of action for like a year. And you just think about the guys that were already in place. I mean, such a elite roster that we had going on during that time frame. They were able to pick up the ball, run with that SOB, score touchdowns left and right, and just keep the product moving. It was still just white hot. And then to like wonder where exactly Austin was going to be when he finally did come back. Would he be received as he once was before? Had too much time gone past, and he pretty much was able to pick up right where he left off. So, unfortunately, when I think about that Attitude Era roster, when Austin had his injury, and I think about the roster that we have in place right now, might not be of the magnitude when you do the side by side comparison. But the guys that I just mentioned, they definitely are in a really great position where now is the time for them to step it up. I know one alluding question is, well, you got Sheamus as the WWE Money in the Bank winner. Does he ultimately become the new champion as of this Sunday? It depends on what WWE wants to do. If they want for there to be a heel champion in place, that could easily be a route they could go. I was talking with a couple of people off and on about the news today, and some were hoping that maybe Sheamus becomes the champion because they would personally like to see some type of a program go down between he and Brock Lesnar. A lot of people feel that would be a really great and fresh matchup, something that we haven't seen before. So a lot of people are really eyeballing that one. Some people are looking a little bit more further down the road as they're getting the impression maybe Dean Ambrose is going to be feuding with Roman Reigns possibly. And as a result, maybe he might not be the clear cut winner as far as being the WWE champion goes. So, as a result of that, maybe you do kind of have it be a situation where Sheamus is the champion for a little bit, but ultimately you would need like the ultimate babyface to take him on for the title. But there's definitely some options in there. But one thing's for sure, they gotta step it up. They definitely have to step it up. I'm sure this is like a serious loophole for the WWE. From a viewing standpoint, from a fan's perspective, this just made things a lot more interesting as far as what is going to be happening next, especially leading up to that Survivor Series pay-per-view. Unfortunate news, but I tell you, if I'm Seth Rollins, he's got to be hurting right now. He's probably got to be hurting right now. He's probably a little bit disappointed in himself, and I don't think he should feel that way. I think for the opportunity that he was provided to carry the company on his shoulders, I think he should take pride and comfort in the fact that the powers that be in WWE, look, I don't work for WWE. You all don't work for WWE. Some of us can speculate how Seth Rollins became the WWE champion. Some people may feel, oh, it was because he was buddy chums with the right people. That's just rumors. I just want to deal with facts. The fact is, he was the WWE champion. He was made to be the face of the company, no pun intended, for 7 months. He was given the ball to roll with it. And it's not every day you can have somebody say, hey, I was the WWE champion. And not only was I the WWE champion for a cup of coffee, I was WWE champion for like half or more of the year. And good or bad, that's going to be his bragging rights forever. Could his reign been more memorable? Could he have done more? Could creative have done more? Could the booking department have done more for Seth Rollins and making this first title reign more memorable, more dominating? Yeah, they could have done a lot more. But if I'm Seth Rollins, I think the only thing he just needs to focus on right now is that rehab, getting back up there to 100%. And then when he comes back, his number one agenda needs to be trying to figure out how he can top what he has been doing up to this point going into 2016. I think that's going to be a very interesting tale in itself. If I were to give a bold prediction, I would not be too surprised if maybe some type of an angle had came about where in due time the authority pretty much just forgets about Seth Rollins. They look for their next guy, and like Seth Rollins comes back as a baby face. I don't know, but for me personally, it hasn't been working out well for him as a heel. People want him to shut up. They want him to like his promos. It's gotten a little better, but they're still pretty bad. Okay, they're still pretty bad. I know some of you are like, how can it be good? Kind of good, but it's bad. It's like a combination of both. He's making improvements, but it can be leaps and bounds better. But I don't know. I think the whole heel run for Seth Rollins has reached its course. I think maybe now it's kind of time for him to go to babyface route. I think there's more longevity in him as a babyface. Whether or not people, as in the fans, will jump on that remains to be seen. But what is your take on this injury to Seth Rollins? Are you happy that he suffered this injury? Are you disappointed? I want to hear what you think with regards to this and what you would like to see happen with the WWE title. Who do you think needs to step in there and be the man? Don't just put a name out there. Put the name out there and explain the reason why you feel that person should be the WWE champion. And what we'll do at this point, we'll follow up on what you all have to say on our next live podcast edition of the RCWR show. You'll be able to catch that Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. All the links you need is in the episode description below. If you can't check it out live, it will be available on demand on great platforms like Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, everywhere. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show, and we put all the links you need in the episode description below. Follow me on Twitter at the RCWR show, Facebook, Infinity One Productions, because on top of getting you all's reactions and take on this news, I'm also going to be putting a poll out very shortly. I'll probably most likely come back to this video after it's done, and I'll put a link at the bottom so that you can cast your vote. But I'm going to try to make it as simplistic as possible. I just basically am going to put out there good or bad, like are you happy that Seth Rollins is no longer the champion? I'm just going to put like a yes or no type of poll, and we'll tally up the results between now and Tuesday. Reveal the results on there. You know, anybody else that's into wrestling, make sure you give this video a like, share it with them, share it all throughout social media. When you do the thumbs up, you basically support us YouTube video creators. All right, guys. All right, so that is going to do it until next Tuesday, where we'll go a little bit more in depth on you all's reactions and any new developments with Seth Rollins. Lee Sanders here. Wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See y'all next go round. Adios.